Good morning. Sorry. I wanted to show you this. So I did some of the trim, and I originally sewed the edging here. I don't know if you can see it very well on the machine so that it has some reinforcement so that it doesn't fray like that. Because when you're moving it in and out of the hoop, it can fray a lot, and then you'll lose, quite a bit of material here if it frays a good bit. So I stitched a little edge on it, like a zigzag edge, to kind of hold that in place. And as you can see, it's still frayed a little bit in certain little areas. But then when I move it, this is why we have extra down here. So it helps hold it in the hoop, and you have more room to work. So this gives just a little bit extra to for the hoop to hold on to. And so then I stitch across there just like a basic, it doesn't have to be a small stitch. I just stitch a little bit bigger sometimes just to get it done quicker. But then here I'm doing my little diamond wave pattern, and so I have it half done. As you can see, it's puffy here. I have half of this done, so I just follow it across, and then I take it and go the other way. So you can stitch it without having to stop and break your thread off or cut your thread off. And then, as you can see, I just started this one, but I usually start like on this side and go around and then come down. So I have one continuous thread, but I had a little piece of thread left, so I just did this little piece. So also wanted to show you one that was finished. So it looks like that. And I did also, I did this one, which turned out really cute. It's a little flower, and you can pretty much do that one if you have enough thread in one continuous loop or thread, because you start over here and then you just loop it around, and then it'll take you up here and you go like that and just go around the whole flower, and then at the end I go around the circle. So I did have to break off my thread because I started it with a small piece of thread here, but for the most part I did the whole thing with one continuous piece of thread. So works out nice. And then the butterfly with pretty much the same deal. You can do the whole butterfly with one continuous piece of thread. So those turned out really nice. And again, here's my teddy bear. And some of my other blocks that I finished. I still don't have quite half my quilt finished because, of my hand being burnt, which is healing nicely. So there's not a whole lot left for it. There's a little bit of redness here, but for the most part, the skin's healed over, but it was pretty well burnt the whole way across my finger and my thigh. But it's pretty well healed, and so I'm still working on my quilt. I have quite a bit left to do. As you can see, these aren't quilted. Also, I did want to mention, as I was working on part of the quilt, sometimes the penciling or the stenciling gets worn off. So on some of it I had to go over the stenciling again, like in this area, because it was worn off, because I used the blue pencil, which comes off easier but almost too easy. So I had to re-stencil right in there, but it worked out okay. So sometimes when you're working and your arms, you know, across it if you're working like up here. If you don't have this stitched yet, which a lot of times when I put it in a square and I'm coming down, I like to work from the top down so that, you know, it's not puckered from working here up. Sometimes it'll pucker. So if I work from the top down to the border, it usually works out better so that it doesn't pucker so much. So, but this time I stitched, you know, here first, and then I started stitching this so that I wouldn't rub it off when I was working up here. So I just kept pulling my top fabric, you know, straighter and down so it doesn't push up or rumple so much. So then I'm going to do this next. I have my glove and my thimble on still, but yeah, a lot of times I try to work from the top down to the border and do the border last so that it doesn't pucker too much. Like sometimes this will pucker in here too much if I do this first. But other than that, you know, it works out okay. I wanted to show you if you can see the back of it, which is nice. You can see the design. Even though it has a print, it still shows up nicely. There, you can see more of it. So it's really, I really like seeing the design on the back side too. But that's the whole point of hand quilting. So you just get to put in the designs that you like. And you can do different designs than you can on a machine when you machine quilt. So, you know, that's the main reason I do it. I just like the looks of the hand quilting versus the machine quilting, because when you're done, the quilt to me looks puffier, and it just has a nicer look to it when you do it by hand. And a lot of times, my grandmother and a lot of the ones who quilted years ago would take and do stripes, like, or lines in the rest of this open fabric here, just so every bit of the quilt was covered in quilting. But sometimes I do and other times I don't. I think this design is big enough that it covers most of it, so I don't always, you know, make lines here, because I would have to take my roller and measure it off, and I just thought that the design took enough for the space up. Now I could take, you know, and do that a little bit in this one, because there's a little bit more space left in the flower design, as you can see. But I don't know if I'll do that with that or not. I'll have to, I think I'll decide that at the end when I'm done quilting everything else, and then I'll see if I want to add any more stitching in those areas. So, and the bear is the same way. It has a little bit extra right in here. There's extra space that you could do something else, like just draw lines and stitch it. But I guess I'll decide that in a bit when I'm about done. So, but as for that, we're at 9 minutes, and so as you know, my internet is not very fast, so I like to keep my videos short. And so have fun quilting, keep quilting, and enjoy what you're doing, and make everything your own. Bye.